Hi there.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
A lot of growth going on there. That's nice.
I'm crazy plant lady
That's good. It makes us breathe better. It's good for our brains. Where are you located?
in Virginia.
Virginia. Okay. Like by DC. I'm not sure how all that comes together sometimes.
I'm about 4 hours from DC.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. So
Oh, nice.
right in the center of the country. Well, hey, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. And the way I want to start here is to kind of get into what we've all lived through for the last 3 years, which has been COVID. How did you get through that 3 year period now that we're entering this kind of reawakening post pandemic period of our lives? And how has it changed the way that you do things now?
Oh gosh, I think COVID changed everything for me. I closed my business. I moved out of a city that I had been in for 15 years, and I left that very fast-paced, toxic lifestyle that I was living in, which was like heavily drinking and out all the time, and then just completely left and found a more slow pace out in the country style living. So yeah, a lot has changed for me in the last 3 years.
So, where were you at?
I was in Austin, Texas.
Okay, Austin, Texas. All right. Okay. Um, yeah, I know it grew a lot with South by Southwest. I've always wondered like how that because Austin never used to be that big and then it just kind of blew up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's too big for its britches now. But I
Okay.
was there for 15 years and saw the growth and saw the expansion, and yeah, it's kind of wild how fast it all happened.
Yeah. So, well, let's get to the crux of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders, career day. Okay. One of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
So I help people get past their mental blocks and wounds that are affecting their relationships and their businesses. And I show them how to do that with psychosomatic practices and psychedelics.
So, being an expert in this field and helping people identify things that get in the way of them evolving and growing and getting to a happier place, what's a common thread, especially now in these modern 2023 times? What's one thing that people don't see, but you can easily identify that can be a big thing they can work on?
Well, a lot of the people that I work with are entrepreneurs that are plateauing or really getting burned out or not able to get up to the next level. And I would say that the common theme or thread or block that I see is that they're the things that got them to that point are not sustainable. So they push themselves really hard. They don't give themselves time to relax. They have zero play and pleasure in their life. It's all very survival based and like go, 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 redlining themselves. And so it's really hard to kind of rewire that and allow for more joy and bliss and relaxation in their lives because they think that those things are bad, that those things mean food isn't on the table, that things are going to get out of control or fall apart. And so it's not easy to kind of get them comfortable with that concept, but they shortly see that when they add those elements into their lives, their businesses actually thrive because they thrive better, and so do their families. So yeah, it's really interesting. I can spot it from a mile away when they come in with certain issues that I can be pretty sure what the root of the issue might be.
It's an interesting psychology because I always hear that people that are really wealthy, like billionaires, just never really tip well or buy expensive things. They're very cheapskates, so to speak. Like Warren Buffett, his thing is to go to McDonald's to get the same thing. I saw a thing the other day, and his wife leaves the exact change in his car he's had for like 25, 30 years. This is a guy that could just literally get anything on the planet he wants right now flown to his doorstep, and he's doing it in this way. So it's almost that idea, like how could somebody that's that successful think that everything's going to sink, it's going to go away if I don't keep doing it? It's maybe it's just you're going so fast on the wheel you can't stop to say, okay, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually, the business that I closed in Austin was a video production company, and we did a documentary before we closed the business, and it was following very successful businessmen that were also race car drivers. And it was really interesting to see that they all struggled from some of the same things, which was like imposter syndrome and perfectionism and not being content. And so I think that's the thing, right? You can be happy and content at any stage in your life. You can actually take time to enjoy yourself and to celebrate the small wins. And most people don't for some reason. Like, we're okay with these small dopamine hits from like finding a deal or purchasing something on Amazon. But when it comes to like actually sitting with joy in our hearts because we accomplished something, that's kind of like not normal for people.
Which is strange. So let's go back to the third grade for you. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
Well, there you go. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're in the right place right now. So let's go back to where it all began for you. Where were you born and raised? What were the seeds that were planted into you that helped you become who you are to help people and to be at this point in life?
So I was born in El Paso, Texas, and since I was little, I was always asking very inappropriate questions. So I would ask people like, "What does a divorce feel like?" and what does cheating on your husband actually mean? And like very inappropriate questions that I shouldn't be asking people. But I was so inquisitive into life, and I was trying to kind of piece together what I wanted to do, if I wanted to have kids or if I wanted to have a business. So I would ask a lot to figure that out. And now being that inquisitive person is beneficial to me. But I would say that if I look at all of the things that I've done in all the businesses that I've started, they were always about helping people come back to themselves, like telling their story, getting over their blocks, like coming out into the world, because I was in video production and branding before. And so, yeah, it's mostly been about like, who are you and how do you want to show up in the world?
So who's been a hero for you in your life?
That's a really good question. I've had quite a few as I've grown up, and a lot of them were about like business and success. And now I would say that there are people that you might not know that I've met along the way that have really done a lot for themselves and have healed themselves against all odds or have a very simple, beautiful life. So if I were to tell you their names, you wouldn't really know them. But yeah, it was kind of it kind of really shifted my idea of what success is when I started working with people that were actually happy after a while.
So if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Hmm, that's a good one. Dolly Parton.
Oh, cool. Yeah, she'd be a
I
good
love
one. Yeah,
her.
for sure. So what is the fuel for you every day? What is the fire that kindles in you to be who you are and to do the work that you do? I mean, you're not just doing a job and that's that. You're helping people. You have to give a lot of yourself. What is that that fuels you?
I would say what's possible, like watching the brain completely shift its narrative and what that can do in someone's life. So I work with people for anywhere from 3 to 6 to 9 months, and to see their life really change in a big way in that short amount of time is kind of like a drug to me. I get really excited about the shift that's possible and how it affects their families and their businesses and their communities around them. So yeah, I would just say always being a results driven person, it does get me excited to see the power of the brain and what it can do with some support.
What has been one of the best client success stories that always makes you feel good about, what you do?
Um, it's my favorites, like when I help save a marriage that should be saved, or when I help uncouple a couple that should be uncoupled. Those have been some really amazing stories. Helping people with drug addictions has been pretty cool. Saving businesses where someone just wanted to completely give up after trying for 15, 20 years, and getting them falling back in love with their life and their business, and then seeing the business excel. Like, those stories will stay in my heart for the rest of my life for sure.
So how do you parlay the fact that you have to give a lot of yourself to help other people with big issues, but also keep a reservoir back for you for your life? How do you balance that?
So when I first started, I was so excited about my work that I was not good at that balance, and my health and relationships definitely suffered. But I think it's like having really honest mirrors about, okay, what am I telling people, and am I walking the walk? Am I actually resting when I tell people to rest? Am I having those hard conversations that I'm telling others to have? And so I'm getting better at it, definitely. I would say that coaches need coaches, and like if your coach doesn't have a coach, then you might need a new coach. And so I owe a lot to like how I sit and where I sit now in health and relationship to the support that I have myself.
So, as someone that enjoys storytelling with video production, who has been your favorite storyteller? Someone either in written book form or on film? Who have you admired that you've kind of looked up to and emulated to a certain degree in the work that you do?
um I really enjoy Esther Perel. She comes across. I like the way she holds herself, the way that she speaks. Her work has been really interesting to me. She's a couples therapist. I like her books. I like her on video. I like how she makes concepts that can sometimes be pretty intense, very manageable for the average person to take into their own relationship and potentially do something with it. So, yeah, I really enjoy her.
So, let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained. What would you tell your young version?
Drink less, sleep more.
Would that young version listen?
No,
There you go. Th-
absolutely not.
that's the problem. So, um, everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you're in control. What's your perception of yourself? Who do you think you are?
I would say that I'm a hard worker that cares a lot. Um, what I would like to be is maybe someone that's a little bit um softer and able to take in love. So I'm very good at giving, but I'm not as great at receiving. So I would say people what might notice that about me too. So that's definitely something that I'm always working on.
So, in the realm of history, you're obviously chasing stories. You chase stories. What event in human history would you have loved to witness firsthand, up close?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I've literally never been asked that. I'm really interested in like the Egyptian times, like
Hmm.
when they were getting really into working with plant medicines and rituals and building very extravagant, beautiful, ritualistic ceremonial places. So, yeah, that definitely calls to me.
So the one thing too about what you're doing is that it seems as though now that we're coming out of the pandemic, the idea of mental health and taking care of our brains isn't something where people just say get over it. It's more of something that has become a movement, so to speak. How beneficial is that not only for what you do, but for the human race to hopefully we're getting to a more enlightened stage in our existence and evolution?
Yeah, I mean, the two biggest things that I see is that the way that I see people who have even just on Instagram had more therapists that they're following their content and doing a little bit more reflection on themselves. They're much different parents, and that obviously means evolution. That means that we're going to evolve in a different way within just one lifespan. So that's pretty cool. And then the next one would be health. I would say a lot of people that struggle with autoimmune and with cancer and with like all these different ailments, they start seeing them really lighten the more emotional processing that they do. So I think that on a grand scheme of things, like the amount of money that we're spending in the medical industry and the amount of just pain and suffering that people are going through, not only mentally, but physically, a lot of that load is being lightened with the work that people are doing on themselves.
So as someone that clearly likes the botanical world, what kind of plant or tree would you be if you were one of them?
I would either be a blue lotus or a wineberry.
Right on. Cool. Hey, so if anyone wants to learn more about you hire you, anything pertaining to your world, where do they go? What digital door do they knock on?
I'm very active on Instagram, and then I obviously have a website. So Instagram, I'm Mushroom Mamacita.
So how do you pronounce your name correctly?
Bijou
And the last name?
Finney.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Sometimes I don't want to assume things. There's
Oh
certain
yeah.
things that go into it. Hey, this has been great. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. You asked some great questions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.